Have you ever been around people who make you feel anxious, nervous? It is not. It is not. People. They say everyone has a kind of a tone by which they give off, and the way you will actually learn in your life. I mean, I had a time when I was learning to drive, and the first instructor, a lady, um, she made me feel so nervous, and she made me feel so. She was so. She was bringing her own personality into a professional environment, and instead of learning, I would became. The amount of anxiety she was caused me to put learning aside and began to perform. And it was never good enough. When you have to perform instead of when you have to simply just learn and live, like, I mean, we in all aspects of our lives, we live, right? And life, when the heart is flowing nicely, that's what's called life. When the heart begins to beat faster, or the heart begins to get in a palpitation zone where it's kind of like a little bit too heavy, is that what's really happening is that you are experiencing a bit of a stressful moment. Okay. Now, the thing is that the same with stress, you can call it this kind of like when a guy goes to lift weights and he will basically put too much weight on his body. Sure, he builds muscle, but if he puts too much weight on without gradually building up to the amount of weights he's putting on, he causes stress. In causing the stress, he will damage his muscles. The strands of the muscles will rip. And it's so the same with anxiety and stress, right? Anything that causes you that, it means that you haven't built up enough to it. So what happens to stress and or anything else that causes you that palpitation? It begins to rip at the fabric of your life. And what begins to happen is the blood begins to form necessary defenses instead of just flowing normally, and it causes other members of your body to go into defense mode. So do you see where I'm going with this? So now you have certain people be in your environment. Let's say you first of all met them, and they slowly start off with little little jabs, little innuendos that you may be doing this, or you may be doing that, or bringing attention to certain things that you basically, they want to believe that you are doing certain things that doesn't meet their high expectations. Well, it causes stress. But it doesn't go from there, because the introduction to the main stress is that they are building you up in a wrong way, not the way a builder would build up his muscles. They're building you up to keep you in a specific standard with them. The standards now is that you have to perform to be liked by me. And so every time they come around, or they're in the close proximity, it could be a neighbor, it could be a landlady, it could be a landlady, it could be an employer, it could be another employee. Is that if you're more of an easygoing guy, you see, the most beautiful things about beautiful people is that beautiful people don't go around pushing things onto other people, because they know what it feels like. The deeper you feel for other people, okay, the less likely you are to cause them stress. Other people don't learn that. They whether they harden their heart, or their hearts are calloused to begin with, they don't mind saying the least. And sometimes they actually have a certain pleasure in causing stress to another human being. They said certain words for them, such as psychopathy, narcissists, sociopaths, antisocial, mean, cruel. It can go down to so many different avenues, but what it comes down to is just one thing. Whether or not they have the issue themselves that they want to replay with you, and the issue is just this, is that you can never outperform, you can never perform enough, because what I'm asking from you is that I'm asking that you submit to my superiority. And it's very insecure in a lot of ways because they are, in a roundabout way, creating a very insecure environment and a very unsafe one for you to walk on. That's why the term comes of walking on eggshells, right? When a person takes little tiny jabs at something they may think you're doing, as because it is something they think, and a lot of times it's assumption. They're making too much of a big deal out of nothing. Now there's a big difference. If you are a careless person and you really are bringing harm to another person around you, well, people have a right to say something, right? Because hey, it's their own safety that's being brought into the play, right? But if you're in any kind of environment and that person, as soon as they make an entry or they're in the environment, and you start to feel a little bit stressed out, a little bit concerned, you start to make sure that without even knowing it, you start to make sure that the things around you are actually okay, to be pleasing to them. All of these things come a play from a place of superiority. And you know what it comes down to is that you will never, and I repeat, never, ever find a mutual ground with them, because they're not into mutuality. They're into control. They're into superiority. They're into gaining some level of dominion, stating that they're better than you. And the thing is about it, I've found these kind of folks are some of the most dumbest, some of the most ineffective. And you know who are the people that they pick on? They usually pick on the people who are actually highly competent, the people who have, you can give them something to do and they'll get it done, and they'll get it done with such an effectiveness. They usually focus their attention on those kinds of people. It's kind of like a smell. They could smell people who are better than them. And that's why they pull the card that they do, the card of making you feel uncomfortable when they're in the environment. Because in reality, what they're doing, they're retaliating in the fact that you are making them feel uncomfortable with even trying, just by your very presence. Just by your very presence. And you know what the stupidest thing about it is that they end up losing out on all the benefits you can bring to them, because at some point you shut down because they're forcing you to perform instead of just allowing you to be a nice giver or a helper, or be a friendly, on a friendly tone. They've changed the whole dynamics of your interaction with them. So yeah, I'm just going to keep this video short, and I hope it makes a lot of sense to you. But just keep in mind that when you are wrong, it doesn't matter who you're wrong with. As soon as the dynamics change, and people know, we all have those sensitivities inside of us. But when you sense immediately that this person makes me feel anxious, this person makes me feel uncomfortable. You know, there's an old thing that people said: people don't remember us by what we've done; they remember us by how we made them feel. And that's what it boils down to. A lot of times, I've discovered that over and over again. I'll always remember those people who made me feel like crap, or those people who made me feel good. And usually the ones who make you feel good is because they're pretty secure within themselves. And you know what? The more a person has a belief in you, the more you will do better in the environment than a person who wants to go about doubting you. And the reason why they want to doubt you, because they can't believe that there are people out there who actually have the goods. Maybe they've been disappointed enough. Maybe they made up their mind that the world can't be that good. Maybe they've made up their mind that they don't want to be that good. So they figure, well, it gives them an excuse to remain that way because, hey, the rest of the world can't be that nice, that good, that competent, that able. So I'm going to disable them any which way I can. And what I'll do, I'll just slowly start to erode their confidence, the environment between me and them, because I could care less how they feel. I actually care more that I'm actually having a controlling effect on them. So do you see where I'm going with this, right? So you have a good day. Like and subscribe. Thank you.